Hi, I'm Jose Mataro with PwC Muscle, and in this video we're going to be installing the P3Labs SSD Sound Suppression Delete into a 2018 SeaDoo RXT230. So the first step is just removing the top deck. It's just the bolts that hold it in place. And with the top deck removed, you can see how much room we have inside the engine bay. They did a really good job with these 2018 models to really open it up and give you a ton of space to work on them. Now the next thing we're going to be doing is removing the top exhaust hose, and then we're going to be getting the intercooler out of the way because it makes just a little bit more room to work here. As you've seen from us before, to prevent getting fiberglass burn, this is some insulation foam from Home Depot. I think like a 12-foot roll of it's like $3 or something like that, and it fits real nice, just right on the edge there, and can tape it down, and just makes it a little bit nicer if you're resting your arms there to not get fiberglass burn. The first thing that's going to come off is going to be the exhaust tube that goes from the water box to the sound suppression system. There's just two hose clamps on it, one on this side and then one, you can kind of see it right back there. It's a little too close to be able to show it filmed. There's a couple of zip ties that you want to snip off as well, but we'll show you in the next step what that looks like. So for a little trick on how to make sure that things line up easily for you when you go to reinstall the water box, just take a paint pen, and you can see I've already marked this one. And you can mark right where it lines up, so it makes it a little bit easier to line up when you reinstall. With that pipe removed, you can see what we're working with now. Up here is going to be our stock sound suppression system, and this is our stock intercooler. Next, we're going to be removing the intercooler with that pipe out of the way. So the way that I found that was easiest is actually remove the hose clamp that goes to the throttle body to the intercooler, and the one that's on the supercharger to the intercooler. You can leave the hoses installed, then just take the hoses that flow the water, which is going to be this one here, this one down here, and this one here. Disconnect those and the straps and pull it all out together. It's a little bit tight, so I'm just going to show you the removal part. Okay, with the intercooler out of the way, you can have access to this hose clamp now that's in the back here. We're going to have to disconnect that to get the sound suppression system removed. Before we do that, however, we are going to have to remove the water box, which is just a hose clamp here. We have an electrical fitting and then another hose clamp right there, and that'll give us the space we need to articulate the sound suppression system to move it all the way out. So you can see that this hose clamp right here, which is connected to the water box, is a little bit difficult to get to. That's why we use one of these stubby style screwdrivers to get in there. Everything's disconnected. When you pull the water box back, there's going to be the exhaust pipe that extends inside of the water box. So you're gonna have to shift it all the way to the back and then find the perfect angle to get it out. And with a little finagling, get it out. Now we're going to work on getting the sound suppression system removed. The only real step that we're going to have to do is take that hose clamp off here, and it's just this strap right here that we have to take off. There is going to be one zip tie right here to snip. It should be free. Okay, now that we have our sound suppression system removed, we can just go ahead and reinstall our water box in preparation to install our SSD. Make sure that we reconnect everything properly. You can see that I changed the orientation of some of these hose clamps just to make it easier for when we go back in next time. So next is going to be to install our SSD. This is one of our prototype pieces. So the production pieces actually have arrows showing you the direction of flow, but basically the longer portion is going to be going down into the stock exhaust outlet, with this upper portion going for the hose that goes from the water box to the old sound suppression system that we're bypassing. So we're just going to install it right into our exhaust outlet that's back here. Here's the SSD rough fit into place. What we're going to do next is take the stock hose that went from the water box to the old sound suppression system and roughly fit it. I have not tightened the hose clamps on the SSD just yet, mostly just so we can twist it and get everything lined up just perfectly. It's going to be hard to show again this step in the video, so I'll just show you what it looks like with it partially reinstalled. Here's our pipe that's refitted, and the SSD is in place. Once you get the angle right and everything's back the way it should be, you can go ahead and tighten the hose clamp that's back here, and then we're going to take this pipe back out so that we can reinstall our intercooler. Otherwise it's a bit in the way. This video is being shot at the same time as our Fizzle intercooler install, so what's going back in here is not going to be the stock unit but the Fizzle instead. The process is the exact same and is actually a little bit easier with the stock intercooler anyway, because it's going to give you a little bit more room. Alright, so now we're just going to put the supercooler back into the ski. One thing to know is I did already hook up the excess hose. It's just a lot easier to do it outside the hull than trying to work your way in there to somehow tighten it otherwise. So we're just going to put it in the stock spot, and it fits really well. The first hose that we're going to hook up is the one that goes from the throttle body over to the intercooler. Alright, now we've got the hose in place from the throttle body over to the intercooler, and we can, you see we still have a lot of space. I'm not going to put on this hose just yet. Now we're going to battle these straps. So now we have our hose that goes from the supercharger to the intercooler back in, and since our straps are in place, we can go ahead and tighten up all of our hose clamps, and then we'll just be installing the pipe that goes from the water box to the exhaust and double checking all of our fittings. Everything back in place, just zip tie any of the loose connectors, and then follow the instructions on how to put the top deck back on. Go ahead and do some water testing on the hose to make sure you don't have any leaks, and that is it for the entire installation. That completes the installation. Thank you very much for watching. You can find all of our parts on pwcmuscle.com and join us on pwcextreme.com, where others share their builds. Until next time, ride fast, and we'll see you on the water.